What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. If you enjoy the Scale News Update, hit the like button. Let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, Emmet released a new RTR. Last week we saw a sneak peek of it and it looked like it was going to be an Ecto, but it was something new, kind of half new. It's got the rear end of the Ecto with the front end of an FJ. And they took and they put this on the Ecto platform, which is the 12.8 inch wheelbase, but they took the larger 4.75 inch tall tires off of it and put 4.19 version of the general grabbers. So a new tire from them and a new body on the current existing platform. It's coming in this tan color and it's got a number of molded little detailed parts on it, like a front light bar and a snorkel. And then, you know, the other details like mirrors and other light buckets that you would expect. And it may be a surprise to you that the name Zuul isn't in reference to some sort of vape. It's actually another reference to the 80s Ghostbuster movie. So it seemed that most of the public was a fan of the front portion of the body, but the rear portion seems to go on for quite some time. Kind of a long bed FJ going on there. It still doesn't have any sort of, fender flare or anything in the back, no wheel opening or anything like that. It's just up and flat straight back. These are currently listed as a pre-order at $399. And if you're interested in picking one up, I've linked to where you can get them in the description below, as well as links to the rest of today's stories. RC4WD Drive had a few new drops this week. First of all, we've got the Bully 1.9 competition pin tires. These are a narrow 4.2-ish tall pin tire. Basically just a miniature version of the 2.2 size pins that they produce as well. These are a nice narrow profile. These are going to be for a very specific type of crowd, not likely for the scale guys. They are small, so they're not going to exactly fill that same gap as like the J Concepts Ruptures. This will be more aimed to the guys doing like the mini competition, the WRCCA style comps, even maybe the 124 scale guys that are making the big sporties. Maybe it could work for those. I think even RC4WD Drive had a hard time depicting it, as they took and they just put it on their 2.2 MOA truck for the photo. Next, RC4WD Drive released some new 1.0 tires. These are the Mickey Thompson MTZs. Just another option in that crowd. RC4WD Drive has a ton of options for the 1.0 guys. These come in at just 56 millimeters. So they're not on the taller side of the available 1.0 tires. These are just right down in the middle where a lot of the stock size tires exist. And RC4WD Drive had another 1.9 release. This is the BFGoodrich Mud Terrain KM. Just KM. This is the old school BFG Mud Terrain. This tread pattern came factory on some of the old Tamiya CC01s, I believe. And I'm not sure if this tire is still in production, but if you're going for that old school look, then that's right where this thing will be aimed. This is like a class 0 type tire. It's under 4 inches tall, coming in at 3.93 inches. So just scale focused, period, correct builds, things like that. Probably where you'll find this most appropriate. If you're interested in any of these RC4WD Drive tires, each of them is linked separately below. Next, for you custom builders, Vanquish is bringing back titanium links in just various sizes. They used to be offered in 5mm increments, and now they're being offered in 2mm increments. So making that adjustment even finer. These are going to be from like 40mm to 170 millimeters. These links have an M4 thread and a 5mm diameter. The length of it is the overall length of the link, including the threads. Depending on the rod ends that you use will depend on the overall length of the link that you need, of course, but there'll be some guidelines on how to measure that if you're using standard rod ends in the description of the actual product. These will be available on the Vanquish website early this week. Speaking of Vanquish products, they'll be representing at Proline by the Fire this coming weekend with some special parts. So if you're at the event, stop by and say hello. This Wednesday, watch for week 2 of the Fordyce Budget Build with Matt from Scale Builders Guild and myself, where we've done our new format where we spin the wheel to determine what our budget is for the week. The spins for this week, definitely forcing some more variety again. So check that out Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We've touched on the FAA's ruling on remote ID a couple of times here in the past, and something that was a little interesting to see is that they've pushed the effective date back another 6 months before people have to have to comply with their rulings. There was a post made on Spectrum's page, and the FAA made, of course, an official announcement. I'll link to where you can go read all of that if you're interested at all. This is a pretty interesting one for the RC market. Definitely something that the market isn't necessarily widely embracing. The manufacturers are, because they're somewhat forced to. They definitely have the presence that, from how the ruling is done, they kind of have to be able to sell these things. But end users, especially people with large collections, or people who build their aircraft, whether it be a drone or a plane, whatever, from scratch or from parts, not necessarily super happy to comply. So interesting nonetheless. 6 months pushed out pushes this to March 16th, 2024. Something that I thought was worth noting. Hey, guess what? There's another trailer available. Power Hobby just announced their trailer. This is likely just a rebrand of something that's probably available or made from somebody else. Power Hobby doesn't really develop anything of their own, but I saw just yet another one pop up. Trailers are the hot ticket for the back half of 2023, I guess. This one's got some pretty interesting fender flares on it. Looks like maybe this was supposed to be a 1.9 trailer and they're just making it the small scale. This says that it's made for 1/16th to 1/18th scale vehicles, and obviously they've got the TRX4M plopped on there in the product photos. Be interested to hear how many of you are trailer people. Do you want a trailer for your 10th scale or 18th scale, 24th scale? In general, is it something that you are looking to put your stuff on and tow around, or do you just see it as something that you would likely not use? Maybe for display with the small scale stuff, or not at all? Let me know. Be interested to hear how you guys feel about these now constant stories about trailers popping up. Over the last handful of months, we've talked about some of the new Tamiyas coming out, and some of them are now finally available, including the Focus RS, the Ford Focus from the era that I never thought we would see an RC car up. 2003 Ford Focus, you can pick that up, as well as the VW Golf GTI. This one I think looks great. It's a rally style, but overall, this is the one that tickles my fancy. I think that they did a great job with this one. Underneath, just the standard MF-01X, which is the same platform that's under 100 other cars. But this one just, again, looks really good. Same story. You could cut and paste this out of any Tamiya story I've pretty much ever done. And then lastly, something that is a little bit different, a re-release, the Nova Fox is now available also. These were ones that have been announced, but we really hadn't seen come in stock to places, or hadn't come in stock that often. So these, I noticed, are now in stock at distributors and dealers in a number of places, so you can check those out. I think this is the first time I've ever seen a digital tire balancer made available. SkyRC has now released this tire balancer. It's app controlled little tire balancer machine up, 10 scale and 8 scale cars. I think it said that on a 10 scale tire, it's got like 0.35 gram accuracy, and on an 8 scale tire, it's up, a half a gram accuracy. The diameter of the tire will affect that. I don't know if it will work at all hardly with scale off-road tires. Probably way too far to have any help, but probably not our main concern either. I did think that it was pretty interesting to see a tire balancer done. Now, of course, there's a lot of forces that go into RC wheels, and this is only going to, balance it in a certain way, give you better than nothing at least. But I don't know. If you're one to, balance your wheels and tires on like a prop balancer already, then maybe this makes it faster. Maybe it gives you, tells you the amount of weight that you need to add and where, if it's like a full-size one. The information is available on the SkyRC website already, but I thought it was kind of cool. This Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, come check out Livestream Takeover. Matt and I will be getting together, talking RC, of course, and spinning the wheel for the next week of budget builds. Things will be a little hectic for both of us over the upcoming weeks, so this may be your only normal show for the next few weeks. And then no Friday Night Live, because I'll be down at Proline by the Fire. But if you do feel like you're going to be missing out from donating to anything, you can check out the link in the description for the JDRF 1 walk, which is something that raises awareness and money for type 1 diabetes. Nicole's going to be walking in it for our little nephew, Emmet. Never pushed anything like that on this show before, one-time deal, but she doesn't know I'm doing that either. Currently, she's down in like 5th place for the team. Last week I asked you guys what your preferred tire size would be if it couldn't be 475. And a lot of people just tried to skate real close to that 475 number, but seeing how everyone else fell and where they wanted to be was pretty interesting to see as well. This week, since we were just talking about tire size, let's talk about wheelbase. What's your preferred wheelbase? Anything is open. I mean, if it's 5 inches because you're a 124 scale or whatever those things are, choose that. 12.3, 12.8, 13.5, 11.4. What is it? Millimeters or inches? We can figure out the conversion. Put in the comments below. Let's see where everybody falls. I need to find a way to tally these things and like make an average. As always, thanks for watching the Scale News Update. Hit the like button if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. All the things. But truly, thank you for watching. See you on the next one.